This is one of my favorite subjects, drawing materials. There's what you draw with and what you draw on. And I draw on everything in high school, and sometimes I still do because I love to doodle, like pizza boxes, cardboard. You can get the drawing pads. There's all kinds, which we'll talk about, all sizes, different weights, different textures. And then there's like everything from a pen to markers to paint markers, I don't know, highlighters, so many things. So we're going to get into some really fun, good detail. And literally you can draw with almost anything, including a stick from your fire pit. The best drawing pencils for beginners. Well, let's start with what's in my pencil case. What have I been using? I've actually been using these Faber-Castell pencil sets, and I've been using it kind of a small set. Faber-Castell is known to be one of the best pencils for beginner artists. This set, and normally they will tell you what's on them in the back. So HB, B, 2B, 4B, 6B, 8B. So this is kind of on the darker side. An ideal set, I think, would start with maybe a 2H and go to a 4B or a 6B. So that's what we've got in here. And you can see on the ends of the pencils right here, hopefully it's not too glossy, but you can see what we've got in here. Now, you can buy these sets at art stores. You can actually get this set, I believe, at the dollar store locally. I'm in Ontario, Canada. If you get a set and you want to try some other pencils at an art store, you can grab and buy individual pencils. I do suggest that you buy pencils from the same set because there are different companies that make pencils. This is an old set. This is an old Curry's set, an old graphite set, which was one of my favorites for the longest time. And you'll see that they're fairly well used. Kohinoor is also a very popular set, very popular pencil maker. Staedtler is one drafting people use more commonly, but Kohinoor is pretty popular. Right now, Faber-Castell seems to be the one everyone wants. The next best would be Staedtler Mars Lumograph. Faber-Castell is most recommended as a beginner drawing pencil for good reason. They're German-made pencils. They have bonded graphite cores that virtually never break when sharpened, and I have found this to be true. The graphite lays down nice and smooth with consistent tone across all grades. Here's the trick. When you sort of buy one set of pencils, when you go to the next set, they might be darker, they might be lighter, the texture might be a little different, and it's okay to try different ones, but just know that, for instance, if you're trying to get a 4H from another set, it might be quite a bit darker. So this is, you may not see this very well. I'm going to go fairly heavy. So this is my Faber-Castell 4H. I keep the cases just to manage all my pencils, and you can see the favorites. The favorites get whittled down pretty fast. So I'm going to find a 4H from here. So this is the Curry's 4H. It's quite a bit darker. Quite a bit darker. It's softer, which means it's darker. So I can get, see right next, this is me putting about the same pressure down. This is even a little bit warmer, as in this one's got cooler tones in it. This one seems to be a little bit warmer. Okay, so that's the Faber-Castell 4H. So let's do the 6B. I'm drawing more on the side. You get less texture when you draw kind of more vertical. The side will give you a little more paper texture. Okay, that's me adding a little more pressure, a few more layers of pencil. Okay, so that's this guy. So this is a Curry's again. Pretty similar. So bigger differences in the H's, you can see, more similar in the B's, which are the softer pencils. Softer means you're going to get a lot more darkness out of it. Harder means it's going to be a lot lighter. Now, I don't draw with a lot of charcoal, however, I do have some. So Generals, this is an extra black, number 555. And I have some Derwent. I have a Derwent white charcoal and a light dark charcoal, which looks like it needs some sharpening. So you can see the charcoal is already messy. I'm not a fan of charcoal for silly reasons. One, I find it messy. Two, I find there's a sound that it makes when you draw that bugs me. So this is a Derwent light. You hear that? You get a deeper darkness. You get an actual black from charcoal. So that's a Derwent light. I'll leave that there for you. And this is a General's layout of extra black. It's a lot more like a pencil, isn't it? I think it is a pencil. I'm mistaken. And I also have a Faber-Castell. Now this is a black. I believe it's more of a conte. It draws kind of like a pencil crayon, quite frankly. See that? It's not quite as messy as the charcoal. But it gives you a blackness that your pencil doesn't get. Now, some people love charcoal. There are different kinds of charcoal. There's vine charcoal, compressed charcoal, willow charcoal pencils, which is what I generally use. This is conte. You can get charcoal compressed like this. Powdered, which means powdered means you would draw it with a brush. So charcoal is considered one of the most versatile and expressive drawing mediums. It allows artists to create deep, rich tones, soft gradients, and striking contrasts. If you're a beginner or professional, finding the best charcoal for drawing can enhance your artistic expression. So I'm going to grab a brush. So this is your compressed charcoal. See how much? It's quite dark. Whoopsie. Oh. Well, I put tape around mine so that I don't end up with it all over my hand. You know, because you're going to put your hands on the paper. You don't want all these fingerprints. What a lot of people do is they can get brushes and they can do beautiful things with their charcoal. And I've done it, but it's not entirely my cup of tea. Look at that, beautiful softness. Returning to pencil lead, this is a Faber-Castell. Also, I put the tape around it so that I don't end up with it all over my fingers and I can control my work a little better. It's great for big pieces that you're going to work on. Okay, and you can do something similar. So I'm going to clean my brush off a little bit. If you want to soften things. And they call these guys stomps. If you like a softer look, if you don't want to see the pencil strokes in your drawings, this is an F. This is a good middle range. This F is very similar to an HB. F. From Curry's. They're still around, but they don't have many stores. Now, when I draw, I like it to be a drawing. I like you to see the strokes. I like you to see this texture of the drawing, but not everyone does. So stomps, like that brush, are a good way to change that. They can also bring you to a much lighter range with your darker pencils by spreading it out. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe, please like, and please share with anyone who you think wants to learn how to draw with us. Clearly you would use the same thing for bigger pieces. You can clean off that messy edge by tearing off rows. Right, it's a bit of a job, but it'll basically bring you back to the tip. You don't need to do that here, although you can see I've done it here. So maybe we'll want to create a softness in this eye. When you're drawing eyes, just remember the whites aren't perfectly white. It's like teeth. The teeth are never perfectly white. So you can use this stomp like you would a pencil a little bit by just blending out. It's kind of like your smudge tool if you're a digital artist. So you can soften it, bring in a darker pencil. There we go. Bring her up on level. Okay, so this is very quick. That's your stomp. That's using a couple different leads of pencil. So the next fun thing is when you want to add some white. So there's a few options. You can use like a white pencil crayon. You can use white pencil crayon. I tend to really like these jelly markers. You can get them in different colors, right? And then see that it's pretty gentle. One of the problems with them, as you can see, it's a little work to get the ink out, and sometimes the lead kind of gets gummed up on the tip, so you can clean it off a little. I just wet the tip of my finger. You can also kind of rub it off there, and then if you want to add a highlight, a glint to the eye, you know, a little texture to the eyebrows maybe. So that's one option. It's a very subtle option. The better option is to have some acrylic markers. One white acrylic markers handy. There are a couple different kinds. Some you kind of have to pump the tip to get the paint out. This one not so much. There we go. See, it's not more. Right. And they do get messy, so you want to rub off the mess on them. Off she goes. And this is what your hand should look like when you're drawing, or worse. We haven't talked about yet our erasers. This is an old guy. It's your typical Staedtler eraser. Staedtler's commonly used by architects and people doing plans. It's great. This one's not great for the B's, if you notice. Not bad for the H's. And then we've got this guy, just a plain old latex free. It's just a plain old white eraser. This is pretty good. Best way to clean this guy off, rub it on your jeans, rub it on your pants. So I'm going to rub this on my pants. Clean just like that. Because what will happen is the more stuff you get, the more lead you have on your eraser, you're just going to start smudging it. So then it's not much better than using a stomp. I've got a couple of these that I didn't even realize I had. I was digging stuff up for a class and found this guy. So it's got a neat little tip. It's not bad. Not bad if you want to erase small sections of something. It even works really well with charcoal, which a lot of these erasers don't. This will help you erase a smaller area, and also you can clean it off on your pants, same as you would this guy. And then, of course, we have our kneadable eraser. Different companies make them. They're all a little bit different. I do have one. It's a little messy right out of the picking stuff up. If you can find a little case to protect these guys in, I don't know what I've done with my case clearly, it'll just pick up gunk. And they can get pretty dark. They get full of lead, so they're not as easy to clean off. You can't kind of rub it off your pants. You can try. It doesn't really work the same. Now, kneadable eraser is just that it kneads. You knead it into the little shape you want. It's really soft. I prefer them a little bit harder, because when you want to erase something really small in a drawing, you don't want it to bend back on you. You want it to stay fairly secure. Right? So now it's bending and it's flattening on me. So the Prismacolor is a little harder. I tend to keep the wrapper and keep this wrapped in it. It'll keep it from drying out, because they will dry out. Any kind of sharpener will do. Some people like to use the X-Acto knife and kind of sharpen and leave like long leads. Those are typically the guys who want to draw like they're painting. I don't find I have the same kind of control when I draw in that way. I tend to draw with my hand like this on the paper. This tends to be my go-to, and I think that's the same for most people. Conte. Conte is another messy one that I don't use a lot. So Conte, this is all the Conte I have, so clearly I don't use it a whole lot. It's a drawing medium made from compressed powdered graphite, so lead, or charcoal, and it's mixed with clay. And it's typically shaped into square sticks like this. It's been around since 1795, and it's known for its hardness and its ability to create textured and detailed lines. So there's a richness to it. Very much like charcoal. So these are some beginner drawing options. I believe you can get Conte pencils in the same sense that you can a charcoal pencil like this. If you want to get a finer line as opposed to just sharpening, this guy is something I grabbed when I was in college many years ago, the mold, and it's basically sandpaper. So you can sharpen the tip of your, this is my charcoal, you can do the same with this guy if you're trying to get a certain shape. And then you can get this to a nice point, although you get a nice point right there. If you have access to some of this stuff and you're curious about it, give it a try. If you're not sure if you have access, some libraries have like maker spaces with some of this stuff. Art clubs might let you come in and try some stuff, and maybe with some artists who are willing to help you. There. And the best thing you can do to learn about how each of these work, how each of them feel for you, is to get your hands on them and try them out. Give them a shot. Erasers are messy, so there are two don'ts. One, do not blow on your work. You can spit on your work without meaning to, and trust me, I have done it. And two, don't brush away the mess with your hands. You'll smudge your work. You do want to use a soft, flexible bristle brush. Do use a soft, flexible bristle brush. I'm using a flat watercolor brush, and I have used new unused blush brushes. They are actually perfect. The basics that you need really are some erasers and at least 6 pencils. And I would suggest, this is a good brand, I would suggest Faber-Castell. Try and get a 4H to a 4B set, or a 4H, or maybe 2H to 6B. That'll give you a good range, be a great range to start from. Next, paper and other cool drawing services you may never have thought of.